Look at that guy. Got a helper. See him? Little squirrel. Eating a pine cone. It's like, what do you watch me for? That's what I love about living out here is the nature, all the critters. I actually had a grouse in the driveway the other day because I got grouse living in these trees. And I swear grouse are so stupid they darn near let you run over them. Hey everybody, welcome back to the vlog. My name is Mike Chamberlain, the #1 Peterbilt ambassador for all of YouTube, and also the #1 Cabover ambassador for all of YouTube. So, today, what do I have in store today? I am going to tilt the cab on K2 and we're going to do some inventory. Because I haven't opened the cab yet. And when I say open the cab, I mean jack the cab. We've been through the cab, but we haven't been under the cab. Little spooky. Jack's still on it. I got a jack handle here. So I'm going to jack it up. Kind of do a, I don't know if inventory is the right word, but look and investigate under the cab to see what kind of condition it's in, just to make a plan for the future. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to rob the cab jack so that I can put it on the truck with the little deck, stubby, and yeah, get the cab up on it. And I might do a cold start on it here in one of these episodes just to see if it'll start again with no starting fluid support. But I ordered a cab jack off Find It Parts, and it's MIA. They shipped it to LA and it's supposed to get redirected, and haven't heard a word. So I don't know how long I wait, but I can't wait any longer. So I'm gonna jack up K2, the truck we call K2, and here's the jack. And then that way I can do inventory under the cab, take a quick look, and then I'm gonna rob this cab jack, because the one that I ordered looks exactly like this one, or very similar. And I'm gonna unbolt this one and use it on the other one if I don't have any success. I don't know how long this is going to take, but oh, there it goes. You can see the unlock mechanism pushing down. Not gonna lie, I kind of like the air cab jacks. So I jacked it up, obviously. Now I got the safety device in, so it won't land on my head. I didn't jack it up past that, but let's do some inspezione. Some antifreeze is running out of these hoses, which is a good sign. And it's also a good sign that the air conditioning lines are still hooked up, because that means they're sealed. No contamination. Radiators there. It's looks okay, maybe. It's definitely got a bit of a color, but you know what? It's looking pretty good. You know, the rust isn't as bad as on Kenny. You know, the kingpins. There's actually even some paint still on the dust cover. I should get the pressure washer in here and do a good degrease and clean. You know, this is another nice thing too, is this lip isn't rusted off. On Kenny, they put a metal plate above it to sandwich it, and it actually corroded off, which is a stinker. It is a stinker. It's got a little flap here. That's a nice touch. Keep things debris off. Shocks don't look too bad. There's a bent air valve. This is obviously the bracket for your oil filler and oil dipstick. No idea where it went. Fuel filter. Ding, ding, ding. This was obviously a high-spec truck. It's got the cold weather package with the insulation on these lines. I think when we rebuild this one, we're going to put all new lines, the whole thing, the whole potatoes. And there's not much for rust jacking there, although a guy should take this apart and either sandblast or see about getting a new one. Motor mounts. So that is, yeah, the aluminum blocks for a Cummins motor mount. It's got the classic Kenworth crossover bracket there. That spring mount for transmission. Now, obviously, the engine, when it cacked, it made a mess. Or the engine was leaking a lot of oil beforehand, because look at how much oil is in that frame. She's a dirty girl. Yeah. And the wiring, you know, the wiring's all exposed there. Now, probably what the thing to do would be to pull the harness out and lay it down and kind of go through the whole thing or re-loom it. I mean, maybe a person could spread it all out, and if the wires are still good, reuse them. But it's interesting that there's plywood around that radiator shroud, which makes me wonder if that's not the original. That seems odd to me. Looks like that's been cut out and trimmed, or maybe somebody recorded it and odd. Radiator doesn't look terrible. I mean, it's green because it's brass, but makes me think it's almost been recorded at one time. It doesn't look too bad. And brackets here. Now Kenny's been all reinforced up here. And this one does not appear to have been. Oh, and look, the air conditioning condenser was actually the grill part. You can see the lines are there. This is bent though. That's a little suspect. I don't know if that's a normal thing on these or what. And interestingly enough, that this air conditioning condenser is up here. Or not well, is that? No, that's not a condenser. That's a, I don't know what that is. It's an air conditioning thingy. And the lines go up there. Some cut wires. Corrosion doesn't look bad, I don't think, though. You know, where Kenny is all corroded in there, this one's not. How are those bushings? Those bushing, I don't know, doesn't look too bad to me. Doesn't look too bad to me. Obviously Cummins, low flow cooling with the small lines. I don't think it looks too bad though. That's insulation is cracked there, which I don't know if that's just the insulation or if the fiberglass doghouse could be cracked. Let's go look from the other side. There's some of that antifreeze that leaked out. But you know, my plans for this truck are to make this one a show truck. You know, with having the engine and transmission out, it's the perfect time to get the torch out, cut all the brackets off the frame. You know, it's got, the frame needs some work back here. It's got rust jacking. Now, I've seen it before where with rust jacking, it'll actually rust through the actual frame rail. So what I want to do this winter is get the torches out, cut the fifth wheel off, cut the suspension off, basically lift the frame off the diffs. It's got an insert, so get the insert out and then do inventory on the frame. See if it, well, and if it's probably going to need to be repaired. Another thing that's been done on this truck, which is a huge no-no, somebody put fenders on it and drilled through the top flange and welded a bracket. And see there, you can see the rust jacking and where they bolted through the flange. Big, big no-no. So for all you guys out there that want to mount fenders, don't drill through the top flange. Ever. On any truck. Never, never. I don't care if the truck has a drilled from the factory through the top flange. In front of your suspension, you never want to touch that top flange with anything. Don't weld to it, don't drill through it. That's a big no-no, because your frame, if it's going to break anywhere, that's where it's going to break now. So the only good thing here is there's an insert, which makes me wonder how far that insert goes. But it's good that it has an insert there. And I mean, let's face it, this one, it's got rust jacking. It needs a lot of work. Now, if you want to bolt or weld to your flange at the back, that's okay. Because at the back, it doesn't matter. The front, huge no-no. Don't do it. But, oh, hey, look. I didn't know that was off. I bet you somebody stole that. And for those that don't know, there's actually a filter in there. That's right. You have a filter in your power steering tank. But you look at it, it's not all rusted to bits. You know, this shock actually doesn't look that old. It's the one benefit of everything being covered in oil is it's kind of protected it over the years. Although this looks like a rat's nest. My gosh. Yeah. But, you know, that being said, it's just a case of going through it. And like, this is obviously a heavy power cable that's been rubbed, spliced, repaired. You know, just like this, there's a, you know, this is a big no-no too. You got a plastic lines being held by a metal bracket and the rubber's gone. There's I don't know what the heck that is. You know, more bare wires, and that's where some stuff that's been cut. With this truck, it's going to be a strip it down, start over. Where the challenge is going to be, the challenge that we're going to have is keeping everything straight. Because if I rip all this out, we got to figure out where it all goes. So that's where, I don't know, I'm thinking when I take it out, maybe lay it beside the truck, because I don't want to just go and cut everything. But I'd like to replace all these wire braid lines with plastic lines, because plastic lines are better. This foot valve, man, it's got a lot of stuff going on there. Yeah, more so than Kenny. But you know what? Once again, corrosion is not bad. I look up here, now there's damage right here, which doesn't surprise me because see the step here? A guy always accidentally steps on this. You know what? You accidentally hit that, so you're always stepping here by accident. So that's why that's buggered. But, and this one's got a heater on the driver's side as well. So it's a high content truck for the north. It's a high content truck for the north. Built Canadian tough. Actually, I don't think this was built in Canada. I don't know when they closed the Canadian Kenworth in Burnaby, but you know what? It looks good. So far I'm happy. If you guys see anything that I don't see, let me know. See, now that's makes me wonder up there with that cracking, but I think that's just the styrofoam. I'm gonna have to pull the cover off the doghouse on the inside just because of the cracks in the styrofoam make me wonder, but it doesn't look too bad. The radiator definitely looks, you know, rusty, but I think the frame up here looks fantastic. Fantastic. Some kind of valve there, probably. You know, this one might have a, that's probably what it is. I think it's got a dial indicator, a dial on the dash where you can adjust your steer axle brakes. And that could be what that is. I forget what it's called or why they had them, but it's a thing. Dad was telling me about it because, you know, Dad knows a lot of stuff. And this is interesting. Is that a throttle? Oh no, that's clutch linkage. Clutch linkage has been broken and repaired. It's quite the fancy repair job. But it works. The shifter. And you know, guys, with having this blank slate here, if I'm putting an engine in this truck, do you put another Cummins in it because it's easy? You know, do you put another 444? And the 444 was not a great engine. Like, it doesn't have a great following. You know, Kenny's got a 444. We're putting him back together. But is this where you try putting a cat in, like a 4 1/4 cat, same era? The only kicker is how much stuff is going to be different. Like, you know, electronics-wise, is there much electronics in 88? I don't think so. But to put a cat in, you know, I'm probably going to need different motor mounts. I don't know that a cat bolts up to those motor mounts. So that's definitely something to consider. But yeah, what do I put in it for an engine? You know, what do you think? Should I get a 3406? Does a person try and go full-on show truck and acquire a 6NZ cat, a 6NZ C15 with an ECM and electronics and excuse me, and then try and fit it in? I mean, I think that would be wicked, a C15 in a Cabover, but the electronics wiring side of it scares the heck out of me, because it ain't easy. But then nothing is easy. And then check this out, you know, it's got the, and this is what I love about this truck. Everything is where it's supposed to be. You know, it hasn't been hacked and butchered. You know, so, and look at that frame rail. Like, I got to get out here and degrease it. Like, that looks really good. You know, it's black. It's not all rusted to crap. You know, you got the factory battery box cover here, which is great. In fact, let's see if there's, ouch. See if there's batteries in here. It's hard to believe I've had this truck for a bit and haven't checked. Nope. There's a nest. Sweet. But look at this. It's got the factory plastic thingy. Battery mount. There's our lid for this. So that should, I think I'm going to stick that back on just because, I don't know, that's an engine line. Somebody's little nest. It's my little nest. So that goes, oh yeah, I'm going to put that back on just because otherwise it's going to fill up with snow and water. Although it probably already is full of snow and water. And look, it's, I don't know, that cap is red. It's got to be off something else. Because, or maybe it's an omen. It's an omen that it gets a red frame. And you know what? I like this design very much like you guys like this design. But what if it was red? It's got a gray interior. Making it red, the interior would match. Although I still want the BJ and the Bear color. Although, you know what? A lot of guys think the BJ and the Bear truck is overdone. Now, what do you think? If I make it bright red to be a BJ and the Bear replica, is that, you know, is that a bad thing? A lot of guys are like, oh, it's overdone, no, do something different. But I like red. You know, what if I go with a more of a burgundy red? There's one, I'll try and share a picture of it here. One that I seen online somewhere, and it looks really good. You know, it's not bright red, but it looks really good. But hands down, this truck is going to be red somehow. It's got a gray interior. You know what? I'm not a fan of blue, but I do like these stripes. I like these, but you know what? They're going to be LED. And this truck, and look at that. You know, I'm getting sidetracked, but even this relay doesn't look all corroded to crap. This battery box looks good. I mean, the cover needs some work, but I could do some fiberglass repair on the cover or see about buying a new one. But it looks really good. I think it looks really good. I think this one's actually a better than Kenny as far as condition wise. But then you think about it, it's been sitting for a long time with the blown. Mind you, Kenny's been sitting for a while, but Kenny's, you know, Kenny's run lots to Alaska. Hauled hauling shacks and lots of salt. And the problem with having the deck on the back of Kenny, it traps everything in there so it doesn't get a chance to wash off. But look at how good this frame looks, you know, going up. Oh, and there's an alcohol sniffer. I don't know if you guys can see that. Yeah, you put alcohol in it and it methyl hydrate, and it kind of gives a supply to your air tank. So in the north, and that's why I say this thing, it's like built for the north. It's got dual heaters, it's got the insulated fuel lines, you know, like this. That's northern package. Northern package. You know, these aluminum spacers, of course, are corroded, but the frame looks good. These aren't rust jacked. Like, these brackets look good. They need to be sandblasted and painted, but they look good. And now Dad had a good idea. I know, shocking, right? No, not really. Dad's got lots of good ideas. He said, you know, this suspension doesn't look bad for 8-bag. So his suggestion was, what if I rip the 8-bag? Well, actually, Dad's suggestion is, why don't we stretch the frame on Kenny, make him a long truck. He thinks it would be neat, which it's kind of cool because I would have never guessed that. But you know what? I already have a stubby truck. The Peterbilt, the 94 Pete, that one was ordered short. It's staying short. I want to make it a daily that I can drive to work, park in my parking spot, zip around town because it's nice and short. This one, I want to keep it the original length. I want to make this one like a show truck, which is a bit of a lofty goal. But a wise man once said, little by little, little by little. Another wise man said, how do you eat a dinosaur? How do you eat a dinosaur? Well, you don't eat a dinosaur because they don't exist anymore. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So how are we going to make K2 a show truck? One bite at a time. Yeah, so Dad's idea was to take the suspension off because these are aluminum hangers, are obviously garbage, and take parts off of off Kenny. And the nice thing is this suspension piece is stamped. It's interesting because, you know, Kenny's is a big cast piece, so I'm not sure what the difference is there, why it would be cast and this one's steel. If this one's a heavier suspension, maybe. But anyways, you know, take the metal ones off of Kenny, and these are good. Like, they're not all rusted to poop. And these diffs look decent. Guy'll have to pressure wash. I mean, obviously there's some big scaling there and right there, but I think these will probably be okay. Now this is an Eaton diff, I believe, which I've never really seen it where the back pumpkin is bolted on. So maybe I'm dating myself a bit, but you know, those aren't rust jacked off. The cross member's not rust jacked. It's basically the inserts that are rust jacked. And that's why we got to rip this thing right apart. You know, and you guys that have said, you know, do it right, rip it right down to nothing and start over. That's what I want to do with this truck. I want to rip it right down to nothing and bring it back. And I want to make it just such a bad arse show truck. And maybe not even necessarily a show truck just to go to shows, but make it a viable truck. Make it like a new K100, or as new as I can make it. You know, like the door frame's got this here, but you know, that's fixable. This step is in way better shape than Kenny's, although it's interesting how thin that gets. You know, the chrome is decent. Is it perfect? No, but I could take it apart and get those re-chromed. You know, put a new emblem on it and all that jazz. Basically, part of doing what I'm doing right now is like inventory, so I could go back and watch this video and say, how did that work? You know, that air tank looks like new. Well, it looks good. New is a stretch, but might need a new fuel line, excuse me. I actually put that drain cock on, but even this air tank, it's solid to where I'm pretty sure I can get that sandblasted and it'll be be fine. Now it had a cab guard on it and they drilled through this cross member for it. Not ideal, but it's fine. It can stay like that. There's some rust jacking there on that cab mount, or pardon me, cab suspension, which makes me think maybe just buying a new cab suspension piece, or I've seen a video before where a guy put a new one on, but it looks good. I think it looks good. Look at their back end from the other side. Look at that, eh? Where that airbag gets corroded and just jacked right apart. But our air valves, I'll have to unbolt this. This tire deflated itself. I just left that axle chained up for now. I'm gonna block that up, get some blocks. I actually have some railway ties out back, because when we bought this place, someone did landscaping with railway ties, so they were like everywhere. Part of the problem is a lot of them are rusted out. Rusted out. A lot of them are rotted out. But I'm thinking I should go find some solid ones, get out the old power saw and, and make some blocks so I can block up this frame. But this rear diff looks like it's been changed. It's got pock marks, like it was badly corroded. You can see where something was air arced off, like the pedestal. So this diff is obviously not original to this truck. The bolts, bolts look like new. So from what I understand from a previous driver of this truck, the rear diff was done not long before the engine blew up. So I think this diff could be good. I think when we pull it out, it might be worth pulling the pumpkin out. Gosh, pulling the pumpkin out or pulling the carrier out, pulling the gear set out, and just inspecting it. Because let's face it, if we needed to replace the diff housing, then would be the time to do it. But yeah, that rust jacking, I tell you, she's a brutal thing. Which is why I'm grateful that that now Peterbilt offers zinc-coated frame rails. And if you're buying a new Pete, ask your salesman if you can get the zinc-coated frame rails. I mean, I guess down south you might not need it, but up in the north, I put that stuff on everything. So all my trucks, that's like a must. Zinc-coated frame rails. Unless someone's like really cheap and you're like, you know, it's all about price, I'll pitch it to them. But if it's a stock truck, and you know what, even customer trucks for the extra price, I think it's like 325 bucks. It's like for an option, just put it in. You know, it may not do anything for you in the time you own the truck, but when your truck gets to be this age, it'll be the difference between whether it's got usable parts or whether it's junk. You know, and that's a lot of reason why these trucks get parked, because, you know, to fix rust jacking is a major issue, and it's just not cost effective when you take a truck that, you know, might be worth 15 or 20 grand and you have to spend 15 or 20 grand to rip the back end apart and fix it. But I've got all the time in the world. No, I don't. But I've got time. I don't know what I'm talking about. So anyways, guys, that's it. What do you think? She looks pretty good to me. I think. Other than that bent cab piece, which clearly needs to be fixed and straightened out, which means I'll have to check the doghouse, because maybe I'm told that that's fiberglass, so maybe it's broken behind. You know, and Kenny had a big gusset, or has a big gusset right there, because Kenny was broken in the front, but this one doesn't look broken. We'll have to pull the mat off, the padding off the doghouse, and inspect the doghouse. Inspect the doghouse! But I like this. I like it a lot. Yep, it's going to be a freaking huge job though. But in a way, it's almost better, because you're starting with the, you know, it's not like Kenny where the engine's in it. It kind of runs, but it's, you know, and you pull it out, what do you do, where do you start? This one, it's like, there's no engine in it, you got a clean slate. And to sandblast and paint the frame, you know, we can start back there, I'm gonna peel all this stuff off, peel all the lines out, and we're gonna sandblast and paint the frame. And then the inside of the rails will be nice and red, because that's my plan, is to paint the frame red, because I like red. I know. And red is such a eye-popping color, so that's my plan. I know some people might think, anyways, what am I doing talking about? If I want to paint the frame red, I'm going to bloody well paint the frame red. But yeah, sandblast the frame, paint her all up, and, you know, clean all this up and start fresh. New lines, fix the electrical, new electrical if needed, kind of figure out where all this stuff goes, and K2 will be the show truck. You know what? Low and Slow is a work truck right now. Obviously, I still have firewood on them. Stubby truck is going to be the truck that I want to tune up for my daily, and of course Kenny's the OG, so Kenny's not going anywhere, but we're going to do Kenny as well. I don't know if Kenny will be the show truck like this one's going to be, or in my head, but it might be one day, because at the end of the day, getting rid of a K100 Aerodyne or making it parts, it's not an option. And in my opinion, it's just not an option. So I'm going to make this one a show truck one day, make it like new. Should I do an engine swap to a Cat 3406, or should I bite off a big chunk and try and put a C15 in? Worst thing with that is it's expensive. Like, those engines are like 60 grand rebuilt. But there again, if you're starting from scratch and you're building a show truck or building a viable working truck, I think this one has the potential to be AKA show truck or viable working truck. Kenny needs a pile of work, but it's still a K100 Aerodyne. So we're not getting rid of Kenny ever, and we're not using them for parts. So anyways, guys, that's it. That's K2. That's my plan. So now I'm going to lower the cab, and we'll put him to bed. Someone suggested I put the covers on the windows, which is probably a good idea, just to alleviate some of the high temp in there and maybe some UV rays, or I don't know. Plus it gets out of the way. And we're gonna keep working on this fella. Yep, I think this winter will be a perfect time, but right now I got so much stuff I have to do that I'm putting Kenny back together. I got to finish firewood. I got to move Stubby so that I can put some firewood there, because what I'm thinking is, and I know I'm long-winded in this, and you guys, there's probably no one watching anymore, but I got to move Stubby, because what I'm thinking is, because it's getting soft now and I'm short on firewood, I ordered a truckload of firewood, AKA, or FYI, truckload of firewood here costs, for birch, $2,000 now. Like, crazy. It's getting to the point where I should probably look at propane, but then I gotta buy a propane furnace, and so I think I might get the truck to come in, unload some part of a load here, and then maybe put the rest up by the driveway up there. But going down into the field is getting a little bit soft, so yeah, that's where I don't know if I want to put it down in the field now. Whereas if I put some right here, then I can fill the shed. And you can see here where I brought Low and Slow up out of the field. It did make some ruts, but if we don't get much more precipitation, or if it freezes, I could still put part of a load down there. But started filling the woodshed, and it reminds me how much I have to do, because that ain't gonna cut it. And that ain't gonna cut it. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. If you're still here, I really appreciate it, and stay tuned for the next one. Peterbilt Mike, peace. Catch you on the flip side. Woot woot. Woot woot. I'm not sure what the woot woot is. But damn, look at those wheels. That looks so good. I really should have, you know, washed them up in that vlog, and I gotta get some wheels on there, but I might have a special surprise for that. So anyways, guys, peace, love, and prosperity, or some baloney faloney like that. Oh my gosh, I'm going crazy.